There have been a number of players that I have had my eye on, and one of those stood out again today based off of everything that I have seen on social media.
I think I've seen this too.
Jacory Croskey-Merritt, a.k.a. Bill.
Big Bill.
He started as a guy that this offseason the fans fell in love with. It felt like more because people were tired of Brian Robinson as fans. Didn't have a great year last year. You wanted a lot more production statistically and a lot more of an impact on games late in the season that Brian Robinson did not give. So you draft a running back in the 7th round, and everyone says, all right, this is going to be our guy. We're going to hitch the wagon to Bill, and we're going to hope that he carries us literally to the promised land. And when that first comes about, you're like, all right, 7th round pick, is that really going to be something that is feasible? And if you're just looking at where he was drafted, the question is answered. And you say, no, what is a 7th round pick going to do in year number 1 of the NFL? Like Brock Purdy worked out. Brock Purdy's not everybody, right? Well, Bill, Max, is also not everybody. What excites me about him, outside of just what I have seen, which what I have seen also excites me, so it is twofold here. But what excites me the most is that he is not your average 7th round pick. Ahead of the 2024 college football season, Bill was viewed as a 4th or a 5th round pick. And then because of what transpired in 2024, he fell to the 7th round pick. There were so many other running backs that were ahead of him on most teams' draft boards that most teams decided we are going to go, if we need a running back, in a different direction. This is very different, though, from Sam Howell, because I feel like most people would immediately say, all right, Denton, like we did this. You're sounding a little too much like Ron Rivera. Ron Rivera would constantly tell us that Sam Howell was actually a projected top 5 pick that we just happened to get in the 5th round. That's great value. And on the surface, that is those two things are accurate. I'm saying that this guy was a 4th round pick or a projected 4th round pick that you happen to get in the 7th round pick. But there's a massive gaping elephant in the room difference between those two scenarios. Sam Howell was a top 5 projected pick and then ended up being a 5th round pick because he didn't play exceptionally well in his final year. Whereas Jacory Croskey-Merritt was a projected 3rd, 4th round pick that became a 7th round pick because he literally did not play. And it wasn't he did not play because of an injury. There was no injury. He was totally healthy. He didn't play because the NCAA had their head in the sand. There was a payment that transpired. I believe this is the story. A payment that transpired and the NCAA was like, you can't play. And in the year 2024, it's wildly hypocritical, but also kind of hilarious. Like, why would they be caring about these sorts of things? And I talked to him last week in the way that the interview was set up. I loved him. I thought he was a really good dude, really great kid, and he gave good answers.
From everything I see, he's like incredibly personable.
He is. And I was kind of the beneficiary of that. So the way that this was, when you're media after practice, they kind of put you at a certain point. So if you pay attention to the Commanders' YouTube, social media, Twitter, the videos that they place where they're walking up that sidewalk and they have like a question, right? You can see in the background, there's a bunch of people standing there. Well, that's us. That's the media. And we have to stand there. And then if players want to come do media, you ask them like, hey, can I grab you? And you pray they don't say no, because if they say no, it's embarrassing. You're going out on a limb. It's like asking a girl to dance in a dance. You're like, hey, can I like grab you for a quick 90? And if they're like, no, everyone looks at you because everyone is hearing you. Like all the media are in the same spot. So everyone's like, you just got rejected. So you pray that they don't say no. I caught Bill after he had 2 interviews before me. I caught him. So like everyone else kind of loosened him up a little bit, which is great. They like asked him questions. And it's natural for guys to be coming off of practice and not like be immediately in personable mode.
Yeah.
You're coming off of practice. It's hot as hell out there. Your adrenaline is still firing. So I 2 interviews before him, they kind of opened him up a little bit. And then I was like, sick, here we go. He was great. He was great. Answering questions, really, really good dude. And you can tell that he really loves football. But because of what happened in 2024, you can also kind of tell that he's really, really excited and blessed to be here.
It's fresh.
He's fresh, and he really is wanting to take advantage of this opportunity. So that's the off the field stuff. Then there's the on the field stuff. And in watching some 7-on-7s, in watching some 11-on-11s, albeit I didn't get to watch anything with pads. I was not out there today. That's why we got David Harrison coming up in about 30 minutes. But there is an element of burst that he has that we have not seen here recently. Mm-hmm. There is an element of just being a very natural runner in terms of finding the hole, attacking the hole, and getting through the hole that we have not seen. I don't know who you want to point fingers at for what transpired last year with Brian Robinson towards the end of the year. Is this more on Brian Robinson for not attacking holes that were there? Is this more on the offensive line for not opening the holes that were supposed to be open? Therefore, Brian Robinson did not have the ability to attack holes. Was there miscommunications? They were opening a hole here. He was looking for it here in different places. There's a lot of stuff that transpired last year that did not look great that you could very easily look at and say, we're placing blame here, X, Y, whatever. I think Bill softens a lot of those issues on the offense. And I think if you put him in the backfield with Jaden Daniels, you are going to see a guy that is really going to be able to take advantage of the fact that Jaden is a guy with the ability to run. I'm not going to calling a guy a running quarterback feels almost defamatory because you expect them to run all the time. I don't expect Jaden to run all the time. I expect him to slice and dice defenses like he did all last year and then run when he needs to. But that threat of the run makes him a danger. And then adding a running back in the backfield that can capitalize off of that, that is incredibly exciting in terms of what you are adding to the offense. And I still am a believer in Brian Robinson. I think there are elements of Brian Robinson's game that he really does add to the offense, but he's not a home run hitter. He has never been a home run hitter. And I think Jacory Croskey-Merritt is in a much better position to be a home run hitter. And the addition of another home run hitter to this offense is really, really exciting. That doesn't even factor in Deebo Samuel, who also has happened to look really, really good. So the two big additions on offense at the skill positions have looked really good in the early portions of training camp.